There's one thing you may or may not know about me, and that is that I was raised in a real poor family. A lot of times we would kind of repeat the same foods over and over, and most of the time when we would cook foods, it was not made traditionally because we had to kind of make it the getaway, like we didn't have certain tools or whatever. So this is one way that I learned to make a guisado de res, which is, like I said, not the traditional way at all. It is like the lazy getaway, I guess, if you want to call it that. Or you can call it the resourceful way, because that is what I was kind of trying to do and be. I was trying to be resourceful. I think I was 10 years old when I put this together based on tasting guisados that other people made. So if you guys want to follow along, please do. If not, don't criticize me over this not being traditional. So the first thing that I did is I just cut up some golden potatoes. And then I have some boiling water over here. It's been boiling for a little bit now, so I'm going to kind of turn it down a little bit. And all I'm going to do is just put the potatoes in the boiling water. And what's going to happen next is the potatoes are just going to kind of tenderize a little bit. I am putting just a little bit of salt in the water to kind of help break down the potatoes. So now all I'm doing is just taking some onion. I took about corners of it, you know, and then I just cut it into like little julienne style slices. And I'm just putting it into my olive oil, which is heated. And I'm just going to let it kind of cook there for a minute, almost brown, because I want the oil to be flavored like onion. So it's going to get a little loud now because I put my fan on. But now I'm just going to take 2 large tomatoes, which I just kind of, you know, chopped up into pieces like this. You can put as little or as much tomato as you like. We like a lot of tomato in our guisado. And I'm just adding that to the mix. At this point, you can choose to cover the onions and the tomatoes and just kind of let it simmer, but because I'm home alone right now, I actually have time to watch it, and I'm just going to keep stirring it every once in a while. But if you don't have time to stir it, just put it on low, cover it, and then come back and check on it like every 5 minutes just to make sure that the tomatoes, you want them to be really soft and sauteed. This carne that I'm using, just kidding, it's carne, is beef tip sirloin steak or milanesa de res. It's pretty thin, and this is just the way that we like to use, this is the type of meat that we like to use in our guisado, but you can use any kind that you like. You can even use like chuck roast if you want to really let it cook all the way through. This for me is my favorite because it cooks really fast because it's so thin. And to all my vegan and vegetarian viewers, I'm so sorry. Just turn off the video. I'm sorry. So I have all my raw meat chopped up, and all I'm doing is just adding some of this Lori's seasoned salt to it. You can add any seasoning that you'd like. And once it's nice and seasoned, then I'm going to go ahead and add it to the mixture of tomatoes and onions and give it a nice little mix. So it's been about 10 minutes or so, and the meat has browned, and not only has it browned, but the juices from the tomato and the onions have come all the way through. And so now I don't have to add as much water as I thought I was going to have to add. So I went ahead and I added 1 can, and I'm just going to add 1 more. And like I said, I'm just using this one. This one says no salt added, but you can use whichever kind you'd like. I like the one that says no salt because I already put seasoning in this. And the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to check on my potatoes just to make sure that they're nice and tender, and if they are, then I'm going to go ahead and throw them into the mix. Now the potatoes are nice and tender, and I just scooped them over. You can see my little saute pan is kind of overflowing now because I just have so much goodness in here, but it's going to be so delicious. What I'm going to do is I'm going to transfer some of it over to another pan, and then I'm just going to cover it and let the tomato juice kind of seep into each potato. because I really want the tomato juice and the meat flavorings and everything to kind of really go into these potatoes. And you can also choose to put the potatoes in here before you start adding the meat and everything, and then just kind of like saute them a little bit and then add a little bit of water to let them soften in the mixture. But this is just the way that I choose to do it because it kind of speeds things up. So yeah, I'm going to turn off this fan. Hopefully you guys can hear me, but yeah, so now it's just all about letting it kind of simmer and letting the potatoes marinate and the meat marinate. After a while, I'm just going to taste it and make sure that the flavoring is there. If not, I'm going to add more seasoning. Okay, you guys, so it's nice and marinated. Everything has a real good flavor. I added just a little more seasoning. I used more of the Lori's salt. You guys can also add like garlic to this. You can add like nopales if you like nopales. You can add any type of, like, instead of using tomato sauce, you can use like your own chili sauce if you like, or your own homemade red sauce or homemade green sauce. It's like completely up to you, but this is just my fast way of doing it. And I'm going to taste it here. I have some of the meat here and some potatoes with the tomato in there, a little bit of that. Do not be afraid. This is the future Iris here to let you know that when I took a bite out of that potato and meat, the potato exploded so good, tomato juice in my mouth, and it was so good. I'm going to serve that with white rice, pinto beans, some bread. Let me show you guys the bread. Some of this bread, which they make fresh at the Mexican bakery. Looks like that. It's going to be so good. I know my husband's going to fall head over heels for me tonight because I made like a real good dinner. Typically, I can't cook like this usually, though. Okay, guys, I hope you try it. Bye.